can even contemplate using such measures, then the safeguards are not working. The safeguards are not in place. And that's the point I wish to make as a result of that exchange, Commissioners.
Thank you. But for what you said at the beginning, it is exactly for similar reasons that I wanted the name to be exposed, but for the reasons you gave, I will not insist that we do so, at least not at this stage.
Thank you, Chair. And from my position, it's merely to say not at this stage, but that I will establish whether there are any real risks in exposing the name publicly or not.
Ms. Hassim, good morning.
Good morning.
My reading of page 2 of the affidavit. So there's the heading, some background, and then reference to 2 articles. And the SANEF one, which is the last one with the blue color on your printout, suggests to me that this journalist believes that the break-in was linked to her writing stories about crime intelligence, surveilling journalists. So I don't read it to suggest that what was said in the chats was the reason for the break-in into her house. My reading of it is that her writing articles talking about crime intelligence, surveilling journalists, at least she believes that that was what resulted in the break-in. And that's one way of reading it. You may read it, obviously, in many ways. I just thought that should be placed on record so that we don't create the impression that she says in her affidavit that because of the chats, there was then a break-in at her house.
That's correct, Commissioner. She doesn't say that at all, that she wasn't aware of the conversation that took place until recently, that took place between General Khan and this officer. And what's clear is that there's a lot of reporting that was taking place that on crime intelligence, you see, Commissioner, it's 2 things. It's reporting on what's taking place amongst senior officers in crime intelligence. And then there are attacks, alleged attacks against his journalists, which appear to come from crime intelligence. And then there's the attack. So all of it together is the context. She doesn't link the 2. I'm the one who's making the link between the 2, and I'm saying that the sequencing is relevant, the timing is relevant, and that it bears, it warrants further investigation.
Ms. Hassim, insofar as you want to make something of a fact whether or not General Khan said anything to distance himself from this, and obviously you would want to draw certain conclusions from that. Was this incident publicized in the media?
This particular housebreaking incident, I don't...
Yeah, because what you said assumes that General Khan would have known about it. If you're going to make anything of the fact that he may not have, he didn't comment, if it turns out to be a fact, if you want to make something of that he said nothing, he did not distance himself, then you first have to establish, it seems to me, you first have to establish that he would have known of the incident. And the reason you say he knows of the incident is because it was publicized or it was reported within crime intelligence, if you like. Do we have that kind of background fact?
I can't have that background fact. My point was, if General Khan were here, these are the questions I would put to General Khan. As a crime intelligence officer, it's possible that this would have come to his attention. Maybe not. Maybe it's just a common housebreaking. But we have to see it in context of the conversation with the other member. So we don't know whether there was a report back, for example, to General Khan following this incident. But obviously the first thing would be, if General Khan were here, would be to establish what he knew around the incident.
Yeah, I guess my point is, if he never comes to testify, we obviously would, I'm sure he does want hopefully he wants to come and testify and clarify things. But if he doesn't testify, the point I'm making is there are facts that we don't have, that we don't, as matters stand, that we don't have, that we wouldn't be able to get to that point where we say, well, he failed to distance himself from this, and therefore he is implicated in this. That's the only point I'm seeking to.
That's correct. In the absence of any objective facts,
yes,
to that point, then we would not be able to draw that conclusion or make that inference. That's correct.
Thank you.
Commissioners, I'm terribly sorry to interrupt, but now that I've seen where...
Your mic.
the red light is on. I'm not sure if you can hear.
Oh, it's shielded by...
Let me just do this. That gives you line of sight. Thank you, Commissioner. Now that I've seen where Ms. Hassam has gone with this morning's evidence, which I emphasize was disclosed to us as proceedings commenced, as you've seen, I reiterate that we are not yet favored with instructions from General Khan. I mentioned that while he is responsive and there is signs of improvement, he is unable to converse with me. I went to the hospital in an attempt to see to what extent he's able to converse. Now, in as much as we don't have instructions, there is the issue of residual rights or residual instruction. I have to act in General Khan's best interest to protect his rights. And what I've just seen this morning as an opening gambit of proceedings troubles me. It troubles me because we were not privy to the intended evidence. We were not privy to where the evidence was intended to be led. And that creates a troubling situation because the impression that is given, in as much as Ms. Hassam says that all of these facts that she leads is circumstantial and then not circumstantial, it has to be one or the other. You can't approbate and reprobate. Either it's circumstantial or it's not. But the difficulty we find here is that we have no instructions on this. We don't know, or we were not given prior notice of this evidence. It becomes worse when one has regard to evidence that was disclosed to us yesterday at 5 minutes to 12. That's additional evidence outside of this small bundle here. And we have to object, or at least for purposes of this proceeding, object to the manner in which this incremental disclosure is coming about. We've previously highlighted and tabled our objection in relation to the disclosure historically, and now there's continuing disclosures. In fact, on Friday there was additional disclosures in between, which I did not object to because it seemed that it may have been a printing issue. But it's not, because those were material documents. And I now have to wonder whether or not the incremental disclosure and the leading of evidence, essentially by ambush, passes constitutional muster. We contend that it does not. So at the very least, we simply want our objection to be recorded for the manner in which these proceedings are being conducted by the evidence leaders. Ideally, Chairperson and Commissioners, this matter must be postponed until such time as Ms. Hassam tells us that the House is in order, this is the bundle, there's going to be nothing that's going to occur from this point. And at some point in time in the future, hopefully, with General Khan improving in his health, at the minimum, we can put before this commission an affidavit in answer to what Ms. Hassam has led and intends leading. Even if General Khan is unfit to come and testify in person, I would prefer that he is present so that he can refute the evidence, but right now he can't. And factually, and if I may draw from a colloquial expression, they're kicking him while he's down. And it troubles me significantly. Those are my submissions, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Valley. Ms. Hassam.
Chair, unfortunately, this is a commission of inquiry. This is not a trial that we're conducting against General Khan. Information comes to us when it comes to us. The investigations are ongoing. This is an investigative inquiry. The affidavit that was presented to the Commission this morning was only obtained yesterday, late yesterday. I couldn't have provided it to Mr. Valley any sooner than yesterday. And I apologize that he did not get it at least earlier this morning. I had thought that it was sent to him. But it couldn't have been provided sooner because it was only made available yesterday. And that's the nature of the Commission of Inquiry.
I noticed the date of commissioning is 5 July 2026, according to the stamp.
That's correct.
Which I assume is the stamp of the Commissioner of Oaths.
That's correct, Chair. It's dated and stamped by the Commissioner yesterday. And so I can't take it any further than that, but to say that when the evidence comes to us, we need to put it before the Commission.
Was the affidavit solicited by the evidence leaders, or was it offered to the evidence leaders?
Well,
because if it is the former, a point might be made that it should have been sought much earlier than yesterday.
No, Chair, it was a combination of being approached by certain individuals, followed with only yesterday a request that if it is going to be placed before the Commission, it needs to be in affidavit format. So as the evidence leaders didn't have knowledge of this before yesterday. And so it was only once I was seized with the affidavit that I could then make it, circulate it.
All right, please continue then. I thought you were still making your points.
No, Chair, my point is really about the nature of a Commission of Inquiry, and we've made the point before. And it's unfortunate. I mean, this isn't a trial, so we don't have a case that's built up, that we disclose, and then we go to trial. This is an ongoing investigation, and it's not entirely in our control. And the second point is that in relation to Mr. Valley's submissions that this is unfair because we are continuing, even when General Khan is in hospital, we had alerted General Khan's legal representative of our intention to present the evidence as it is, because this commission has a limited lifespan and we have a compressed timetable and we needed to provide the evidence. That's simply what we're doing, is we're presenting the evidence to the Commission, and we've also made it clear that that will be, obviously General Khan, when we do await a response, when it is possible to get a response from General Khan to the evidence that's being presented.
Now, according to the current plan, the last day of the hearing of evidence is 31 July 2026.
Our schedule runs until 31 July 2026. And
with August to be the period for writing the final report.
That's correct, Chair. The extension that was granted by the President was to the end of August. And the end of August was, what the President required was that the final report must be submitted by the end of August. The Commission and evidence leaders felt that we would, in order to get as maximum evidence in, we would run the hearings all the way until the end of July, which only affords us 1 month to write.
Less than, or 1 month to write. I thought you were saying from today we are left with 1 month. I was going to say we are left with less than a month for the hearing.
For the hearings.
For the hearing of evidence.
So we had very little choice. It was either we present the evidence to the Commission or we don't present the evidence relating to General Khan at all.
So that addresses the point about possibly postponing and not hearing any evidence, which is a point made by Mr. Valley.
And, Chair, that was the point that was made in response to the in-camera application as well. Thank you.
Thank you. A very short reply.
Briefly,
2 minutes, 2 minutes, and no more, please.
Briefly, Chair, the manner in which we expected the evidence leaders to proceed in terms of this matter is set out in their 10-6 notice. This evidence is not covered by the issues that they've raised there. And this is why it's concerning. It seems that it's being made up as we plod along. And placing General, even if he was here in that position, He doesn't know what is the case that he needs to prepare.
I have never understood the regulation 10.6 notices to mean that that is all that will be covered at the hearing. What the 10.6 notice does is to focus on underline certain specific issues that the Commission wants to get an idea of ahead of the hearing. I've never understood it to mean that that's the sum total of what will be covered at the hearing.
Indeed, and I accept that. And that's the reason why there is the statement in the 10.6 that this is not all of the evidence. We may amend, expand, etc. However,
yes,
notice is still a requirement.
I probably misunderstood you then. I'm sorry.
No need to apologize, Chair. We're still unpacking the issue. We would expect at a minimum a reasonable amount of notice be given. And in the absence of notice, we are prejudiced. That is the point. I'll leave it there, Chair. I'm not going to take it any further, except that the objection is now recorded. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Valley. If it were a witness who is not in the situation General Khan finds himself, this would have been quite easy to resolve in the sense that we would simply say, General Khan will have access to all of the documentation that has been served on him, and he will also have access to the transcript, and he may, down the line, address whatever issue he needs to address before we conclude the hearing of evidence. But because he's in the situation in which he is, we do not know whether by the time we conclude the hearing of testimony, he will be in a position to address all of these issues, having had sight of what I've referred to. What happens will depend on what his position, what his situation is when we conclude the hearing of the evidence. But to cut a long story short, we must proceed with the hearing of evidence. We will not postpone.
As it pleases. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Chair, that concludes the issue I wished to deal with that related to the use of crime intelligence resources for purposes other than lawful policing objectives. I
do apologize.
Now we know Commissioner Baloyi loves Maskandi music. Yes, Ms. Asim.
Thanks, Chair. So, Chair, what I would propose to do now then is to return to the tenders chapter. And the last tender that we were dealing with was the tender on auto parts. And for this, Commissioners, you will need the annexures